We are officially proving fighting easier from outside the cage, sure, but not easier when you're stacked around boxes, because we're both in the process of moving, which both explains why we ghosted you last week and why we didn't put much work into the guest this week. But I'm going to start by welcoming you to Verbal Tap. Raph is with me, of course. Raph, how are you? You found a microphone. Is it the right microphone?
I think it is. I don't really remember how to do this, taking a week off. But before I trash the guest that's on the line, I want to
already
pay
did
tribute.
that, so you're a step ahead of you.
That's fair. We'll get to him in a second. I actually want to pay tribute to friend of the show, Ryan Ford, who is the host of the Grappling Central podcast, who has been named the director of all podcasts for BJJ Fanatics. And I think that's a pretty commendable thing for him.
I remember him. I've not heard of that podcast. It's
not many people have.
And as I Google it, I was on it, which is astonishing. You'd think I would have jogged a memory.
I mean, I was on it too, apparently. But you know when AI can just make it seem like you've been on shows that you've never been on? Pretty sure that's the case.
They just brought in my voice. That explains
Just literally looked at transcripts of our show and made it seem like we made a virtual appearance on the show.
No,
what I would tell you, though, is
how
this.
Much, real quick, how much Everclear did KP drink before this podcast that he doesn't
First
remember
off, shut
being
up, guest. We haven't introed you. Go back to your nether regions. We're going to go ahead and do the joke that we have.
Should
for the
I
other
answer
guy
the question? Or
yeah, go for it, Kevin.
A lot. I mean, a fair amount. It's hard to keep track once you've gone through one bottle of Everclear. I think you know that.
I'm going to get to you, so don't just keep speaking out of turn. Let me shit on the other guest first, a.k.a. the other host. Let me just say this. I think it is incredible that we are seeing somebody get an elevated position who they're making up this position just for him. And I think that's great. I would say, though, it is truly unfortunate that he is going to stop somewhere in the region of about 463 episodes or so, which means, oh no, we're going to pass him again. And we don't put out more than one episode a week. So on behalf of us here at Verbal Tap, to you, Ryan Ford, can I get you, Kevin, to join in with a clear suck it on 3? 1, 2, 3.
Suck it.
Okay.
And the other Kevin is also joining in right now is our good friend, Kevin Bradley of the Jiu-Jitsu Times podcast. Kevin, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing phenomenal, Raph. I've missed you. It's been a while since we've talked, and I'm not gonna lie. It was getting to me. So I was really happy that you texted that your backs were against the wall and you needed a guest, and here I am.
To be honest,
so.
the choice was this. If you don't come on, I'm just going to unpack more things. So it's really not a bad problem for me. Both are equally tedious to get through. But yes, I just finished moving. I'm in the process of booking somebody. I said, who's somebody that could really benefit from our exposure? Who's somebody who does not know how to host a podcast, but much like Ryan Ford, people allegedly tell me they listen to on occasion? And who is somebody that will make my co-host get confused on the game of over-under Kevin when I say Kevin?
Raph's looking at his dream board. Today we really need someone with the audio quality of an on-fire trash can. Who can I call? Who's there? Who's in my phone? Oh, wait, it's Kevin Bradley. It's good to be here, guys.
Didn't even have to learn a second name, you lazy bastard. That's what happened.
Yeah, really.
You said backs against the wall. I'm actually doubling our piano seat as my desk chair, and my back is against a stack of boxes. But I appreciate the sentiment.
As someone who just settled into their new apartment, I do understand the feeling. I wish you guys well in your moving endeavors.
Oh,
well,
damn.
I'm in a new place. Kevin's about to start moving. So for those of you listening, just know if we don't have an episode appear at one magical time when we're supposed to, that's kind of the reason why. Anyway, back to you. Listen, Bradley, I'm going to have to call you guys by your last names on this one, just so I can be clear. Can you explain to Kevin the even more annoying aspect between the names of you and your co-host on your show?
Well, as some of your listeners and viewers may or may not be aware, I host the Jiu-Jitsu Times podcast with my good friend and multiple-time IBJJF Masters champion, Mr. Kevin Gallagher. And so there are just a gaggle of Kevins at any given time. When we had Kevin Casey on, that was just a migraine of an episode. But I would assume that a lot of people will get annoyed and confused. Like the original fun fact, the original title of our podcast was going to be Fistful of Kevins, but Kit dinged that one from orbit pretty quick.
I'm not going to say Kit has a lot of great ideas, but that does qualify as maybe the first. So good on him.
I mean, you got to go bold sometimes, bold strokes, but I do see that sometimes you need to be reeled in a little bit.
Fisting Kevin was an interesting memoir I was just recently reading. They lived an interesting life. I also am seeing Jordan Jiu-Jitsu, Jordan Peitzman, in your recent Instagram feed here as I stalk you.
Why, yes. Jordan and I were roomies for the Emerald City Invitational in Philadelphia. It's a very strange series of events that led to that happening, where he was looking for someone going already to split a hotel room, and I offered, but then he got offered a free hotel room anyway and decided not to just kick me to the curb. So, Jordan, thank you. As always, you're a gem of a human. Thanks for putting up with me for a few days.
Do the organizers know that he abused his privilege like that?
I would hope not, just because I understand that I'm a scourge to many, and getting me a free room would probably be like on nobody's immediate list of priorities. But Jordan's a cool guy, and I haven't directly pissed him off yet, I think. So hopefully I can just ride it out.
I have not met Jordan in person. Is there any difference between him in person and him on the online version, as many of the times you have been on, I'm sure, in interviews with him and even on my show?
Shorter.
What?
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, you were asking Mr. Bradley here.
He is just as hot. No, you're good. He is just as hostile to chairs in real life as he is on social media. I will say that. Just like absolute animosity anytime he sees something he think he can berimbolo. But it was a little bit funny because I ended up driving us around Philadelphia to get to the venue, and taking a city boy, taking a farm boy from Iowa into Philly, it's a fun time. He every building was the biggest building he'd ever seen, and it was very fun. But he's also too nice of a guy. Like, I kept telling him, you don't need to stop and give everyone money on the street. Like, he just wanted to stop and like help everybody on the street. So the only thing I can say is Jordan is just too nice of a guy, and he should stay out of Philadelphia.
That can be overwhelming.
Yeah, it made me feel like a piece of shit. Just like, wow. Does living in like cities just make you a bad person?
Unequivocally. Yeah. It's why people in cities believe in gun control. We've met some neighbors that it's like, oh, they shouldn't own a firearm. And if you're from, everywhere where your cousins, basically your neighbors, life's a little simpler.
Well, it's funny though, because by the end, he was very sick of all the noise. Like, he was like, I need to go home. I'm done with this. This was fun. I need to go home. I miss the fields. And to the fields he returned.
It is very reminiscent of when he does come on our show, and then sometimes he just leaves, and people go, where did Jordan go? And I go, I'm not asking.
Got too loud.
And to the point where one time he told us he was going to be on the show. He had made a quick appearance. He said, I'll be back. And I said, okay. And then he later messaged me and said, Raph, I took too many drugs. And I said, how? How did you take too many drugs? And he goes, well, this is a regular occurrence when I go to watch fights with my friends. They will watch the fights with me, and then I won't even be really awake during the main fight, if the main card at all. And I said, that sounds like a lot of drugs.
That's actually, I want to do a PSA, a Jordan Peitzman PSA, if I have the opportunity here. If you're meeting him for the first time, or you're going to run into him, just like try bringing him some new shirts, like just a 6-pack of Walmart like black shirts, just because that guy will sweat through no less than like 7 or 8 shirts for an event, and it's a real problem. Like I saw him, I kept thinking he was a different person during BJJ Woodstock, because he was just in a new shirt every time I would blink, and it was bizarre. Like he looked like he just got out of a pool. So he is always in need of shirts.
This is perhaps a good time to tell you that, yes, Phillips, this guy ended up doing commentary with Josh LeDuc, sorry, slip of tongue, over at Jiu-Jitsu Woodstock, or BJJ Woodstock. What did you learn least from doing commentary with Josh LeDuc?
Well, he's a very big personality. He's a lot. That's what I'll say about Star-Lord.
Mm-hmm.
He was very nice to me on the commentary, very good about easing me into things, because he's done it before. But I will say that Jordan, like the Subspectrum team is kind of like the Mafia, where if you're some outsider that's showing up, they will threaten to bury you in a shallow grave at least 20 times. Like I got threatened a lot by them just because they didn't know who I am. And so,
they knew.
Yeah, no, one of them, Mouse, he straight up told me he hates journalists and he didn't like me, but that they didn't use government names in their crew. So the entire time he just called me Hemingway for some reason.
You should maybe roll with that. I kind of like that. Kevin Hemingway, kind of a cool name.
Yeah, but like, wasn't Hemingway a dick? I kind of like got the feeling that he thought I was a dick or something.
Well,
but anyway, so I made the mistake of taking a bong hit that Mouse offered me right before the show.
There was meth in it, unequivocally. I can already tell you. I don't know much about Mouse, but I know he sprinkles a little meth on
Mouse, he was an old roadie who toured with like Slipknot and Motorhead. Like he's seen some shit, and he's like, "Hey man, that bong hit you took the other day was pussy shit, man. You're gonna need to do a real rip this time." And I could tell he was gonna beat me with a tire iron if I didn't do it. So I did it, and I showed up to the desk rolling pretty hard, and Josh looked at me and he went, "Oh fuck, like are you okay?" And I went, "No, man, no, I'm not." And so he said, "Just run around, get some water, like chill the fuck out." And so I did 10 laps around the school, because the show is in an abandoned high school, which is another very weird part of the entire event. But I ended up being fine. Just learned a lot of lessons, I will say that. And I came away thinking, if you were ever in the area, you have to check out a Subspectrum show, just because the venue is easily the most unique you're going to find in professional jiu-jitsu. I mean, it looks like
Jordan's also looking to kind of expand that out a little bit more. So it seems like that's a good home for them. But I know he's always talking about newer things and expanding. I see that with every single promoter. It feels like anytime they have another event that they're going to start talking about, they put a picture of like a giant arena. So at a certain point, they may have one in a high school gymnasium, and the next photo is of Cowboy Stadium, and they go, "Soon." You go, "Okay, sure. I'll see you back here in 3 months."
I know he's planning on using the same abandoned high school. Just moving into the other auditorium, the bigger one that they have. And it was really funny. Like it's still very much a school. Like people's art projects are on the walls, and pictures of like old like theater projects and theater shows are up. Like Josh and I hung out in the principal's office of the school for like an hour before the show. It's a very bizarre setup that just kind of exists. There's also weird mannequins everywhere. It feels like I'm describing some fever dream, but I swear this is all real. You can ask Jordan about it.
Let's just remind everybody there was a bong hit from a gentleman by the name of Mouse, and Bradley.
The spiders are nice. You just have to be nice to them back. And I know they're huge, but they all wear little suits.
Well, listen, here's a good opportunity for you guys to learn a little bit about each other before we go into the actual roast part of the game, which amazingly we haven't even gotten there yet. So, Bradley, do you have questions for Phillips that will help better inform you when we get to the game?
All right. Phillips, thank you for being cordial thus far. I know our first meeting was a little bit rocky. And you were very drunk for most of it, and I appreciate you not laying into me as hard as you said you would. How did you meet Mr. Esparza?
Competitive forensics, which is public speaking in college. Yeah. So
I
basically
million years wouldn't have guessed that.
You've heard a lot of people like, we met overseas on a mission trip. Very similar. With a lot more suits and insecurity.
You guys are Mormons.
Raph is. I'm practicing hedonism. It's not bad. Though, fun fact on Mormonism, if you're ever curious where it started. Never mind. Whole 4-part podcast on it. It's very good.
There's this guy in golden plates, and it just got real crazy.
Not unlike your high school analogy. It's basically just mainstream horror that became Mitt Romney. So, quick connection.
He could have been president. That's fucking crazy.
K-Brads, where are you from on the planet? Where are you at in this world?
Well, right now I'm coming to you guys from Buffalo, New York. It's very cold even now. I was born in Jersey, moved to Connecticut, spent most of my life in between there and Jersey, and I've started training in Connecticut and went out to Western New York for college and kind of stuck around here. So that's basically the end all be all of me geographically.
Oh, Buffalo. All right.
Yeah, it's rough. It is really rough up here.
Yeah. Sprinkle some meth on it. Might be the theme of this podcast.
A lot of heroin addicts up here.
There we go.
A lot of heroin addicts. Yeah,
it's cold.
Problem. Yeah, a lot of Confederate flags too. Surprising.
Deeply irony. Yeah, deep irony.
Yeah. My last day as an Amazon delivery driver, I actually saw my first American Confederate flag fusion, which was very bizarre. I kind of wanted to stop my route and ask the people that lived there about their philosophy on life, and I thought better of it though.
Okay. Weirdest thing you delivered while working for Amazon? Weirdest place, I guess. You probably don't know a lot of the things. Well, weirdest place.
Oh, well. That's a tie. I delivered to a day trading center where a bunch of fat people yelled into phones, surrounded by pictures of the Joker and Jordan Belfort from the Wolf of Wall Street movie. Mm-hmm. That was pretty fun. There was a rock quarry, but probably the weirdest was when I delivered next door to a meth lab and got assaulted. That was probably the worst one.
Is that what got you into jiu-jitsu? Or
no, it's funny. Jiu-Jitsu actually made my life worse that day.
Okay. He attacks you and then is like, now get to training, bitch. Or what happened?
Yeah. Well, I was delivering a box and there was this couple arguing on the porch next door. And I was just like, I'm just going to ignore that. And then the guy started just punching the shit out of the lady, like right in the face and just kicking her a little bit. And she was falling to the ground. And so I ran up to him and I tackled him and I started putting him in a rear naked choke, and it was locked in pretty tight. But then his entire family came out of the house and they just beat the shit out of me.
Sure.
No.
I had his back and I'm like, oh wow, this is great. And then his whole family kicked my ass. They just kicked my ass. Like they started kicking me in the ribs. I think his mom was kicking me in the head, and like people were kicking me in the legs, and then I just let him go, and then they kicked me for a little bit, and then they all went back inside.
Jeez.
Well, they had to finish dinner. What do you think that they were gonna do? Just cancel dessert just because they got into a fight?
Yeah. It would have been super sweet if one of them had tried to, like, pressure pass or something. No, they just were kicking the shit out of me. I'm like, why aren't they, going for De La Hiva guard or something? Oh, wait, that's a heel in my eye.
Would have been pretty nice, though, if at the end of it, you're like, I've got a breakdown of how this fight went against me. Watch it next week on the Jiu-Jitsu Times.
Henner, real quick, there's someone maybe have cell phone footage of that. I need you to tell me how I could have done that better.
I do appreciate, though,
a breakdown
that you do tell us I did have the RNC in. Like, he was about to go out. He was about to tap right there. Unfortunate run-in by the entire family.
Yeah, no, and it was like it wasn't. I didn't have the choke on long. I heard him gurgle a little bit, and then the whole family, the whole clan came out and just mollywopped the fuck out of me. And I just sort of sat on the porch because they were inside, and someone came up to me and he was like, "Hey man, are you okay?" And I'm like, "No." And I don't know why I was angry at him for even asking. He was just being a nice guy. But I'm like, how the fuck are you going to ask that? You saw what happened. But then the cops showed up a little later, and they're like, yeah, they do this all the time. And I'm like, oh, really?
Oh, no.
And then as I was talking to one of the cops, the family kind of gathered on the porch, and they were yelling at me that they were going to sue me. And the cop is like, yeah, you're probably fine there. I'm like, good. That's great, sir.
Yeah, Fast and the Furious Buffalo sucks. It did
thanks
not
for,
get
thanks
great
for the
reviews.
speed and showing. Thanks for really showing up quick, by the way.
I think the worst part of this is their explanation was, yeah, they'll do that.
Yeah, no, they cause a bunch of people told me that a variation of that, like, yeah, this house is just a problem, some neighborhoods. And I'm like, no, I don't. I really don't.
Also, that's not good or acceptable.
Yeah, why don't, if you guys know this place is like just have a guy here. Like, goddamn.
I also like that you probably went in being like, I'm going to be one of those heroes of the week. Cute cops being like, yeah, they'll fuck you up. That's the Davises. Hey, mama. Like, waves
it's
at
funny
him.
because when I called my wife about it and I let her know what happened, and I feel like she verbally beat the shit out of me because it was like, do you understand like how dumb that was? And I'm like, yeah, no, I do, I get it.
Oh,
also really not the time to get into another fight.
No. I fully understand. It was like, it was very stupid. Yeah. I don't want to say I was trying to be like, I really wasn't trying to be some like jock bro, like jiu-jitsu's gonna own and like there's a video and it's gonna be great. I wasn't thinking straight. And to anyone listening, I don't think you should go do that. I feel like just sitting and it's weird. I'm just gonna say don't try and be a fucking like Rambo hero, because a whole family could just come out of nowhere and kick your ass. Just like
politely inquire about how many people they have with them before you engage.
Hey, dude, like rough estimate on how many.
Excuse me, it's just me here because Amazon. We don't travel in
Sir,
packs.
I would like to engage in a gentleman's agreement. Your whole family won't just kick the shit out of me.
Do I have your permission to take your back? You ready? Let's go. Consent's important.
Tap if your mom doesn't kick me in the head.
Well, return policy's over now.
It's funny because when they heard about it, they said, "You're lucky we're not going to fire you.
Amazon?
You just got to not." Like, because, there is a video they show you that says, "Don't do this exact thing." And I went and did that exact thing. So fair on them. Thank you for not firing me, Amazon.
What the shit? What kind of video is that, Kev?
Yeah, I want to see this video too. There's
Oh god, it was funny. They had a guy like hiding and saying like you will be asked to deliver to dangerous areas if you see something. Hide and call the police.
All I can see is like some robber just having sex with someone's corpse, Amazon pulling up, and it being like, now the important thing to do is to back away slowly from the situation. It's just zero helpfulness.
They can't go all like freaking NRA and say like, hey, you got to be the good guy, the hero in this scenario. Because like, what happened? I got my ass kicked. Like, that's the funniest thing is like, afterwards on the way home, I was kind of laughing. Like, Jiu-Jitsu didn't work there.
Yeah, that's where maybe
doesn't always work.
We always recommend, study some Muay Thai. Little something where you can give somebody a 3-piece and a Coke. Something a talk from which I do not understand, but it's always good to work in some striking. Because I'm with you. I'd be on my back. Like, come on, bro. You're about to get spider guarded if you don't. And I'm just gonna get kicked by the whole family too.
Being honest here, we've been promoting jujitsuisalie.com. I'm still surprised that I have not bought that domain after the many years of doing it, where I could collect stories. Not quite like this, because I wasn't expecting to go down this path. When especially Kevin was given an open opportunity to ask you a question, you said, "Oh well, I was assaulted while doing a job," and all of us go,
that was my great journalism that got us there. I cued in. I was hoping for like I was gonna have a few parallel jokes here. I was taking notes, and then it just turned gripping and sad, and I was like, well, now I'm in.
Well, the funny thing is like the cops had me like, I'll move off this. Like, I'm not trying to take up time, but the cops had me sitting off to the side while they were like taking other people's statements, and some of the younger like men in the family were yelling at me like, fight me, pussy, fight me. And I didn't say anything back to them. I'm just looking at them so confused. Like, in what world would I try that again? Like, that's
a whole pack of you. It's also like look, you can't yell it too, but I'm so petty that I'd be like, semantically, I was winning. Like, I'd be yelling. I'd be like, I was clearly up on points on your moron brother, and I think I was about to get the finish. Just IBJJF-wise, I got the gold until you got Cobra Kai'd.
Where is the ref?
Where is the ref?
I want the scorecards to be shown at the end of this fight just to prove I was ahead. I know Cecil Peoples wasn't going for me, but I was ahead.
Yeah, one judge did have you down 29-27. Yeah. That hurts.
Had the rear naked choke in, which was strange. He just doesn't like grappling.
Wait, let me see that third judge. Wait a minute, Mario Yamasaki. What are you doing here? I was trying to be a warrior, man.
Bradley, let me just say this. I'm glad you're okay. I think that's horrible that happened to you. And I like giving people a certain amount of shit. And I'm glad that you're in a place where you can talk about it and laugh in the same way we did, because I'll tell you this. Just today when I was looking on my Instagram, I saw one of my good training partners from Jean-Jacques Machado who...
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. And he was apparently... Because he goes down and does this kind of balance, very kind of, it's not even like gymnastic kind of a thing, but it's a very almost like yoga, but you're balancing people with your legs and shit like that. Yeah, something like that.
Like the shit Jake Paul was doing in like the open workout.
It worked.
Don't put that on my buddy.
It worked.
What I would tell you is, my buddy Gio, he's one of the toughest training partners I have. He's a blue belt in name only. Dude should really be a purple belt or higher. I have some of my best rounds with that guy, and it showed him in mount holding down somebody while a police officer's looking at him and going, oh, I got to take a statement here, kind of a look. And I put it up on my Instagram as to give him some credit. And I know that whenever we put up stuff, I always have to put it in our realm of, listen, I want to give you credit, but there has to be kind of a joke here. And the one thing I put on there was, I mean, dude, the arm bar is right there. And you chose not to go for that. Come on, dude.
It's so funny because now, like, when I see stuff like that, like the jiu-jitsu owning stuff, I just, my first thought is, I'm so glad it worked out for them. Like, I'm like, no like no jealousy at all. I'm just like, oh, thank God. Like that's so fucking dope, man. Because like
I do think the Ryan Hall
went the worst way it could go wrong for me. And it sucks.
The Ryan Hall video gave people false hope too. It's like he's also a trained MMA fighter, y'all. It's like he used jiu-jitsu because he's got a great golf bag. Yeah.
Well, listen, Bradley, I feel like I need to give you another opportunity to ask Kevin a question. Kev, you might have too much material, so you might get another response time.
Plus,
that's depending on where he goes.
This fight card sucks. It deserves so little of our time that.
I was reviewing it in the lead up to this episode. I'm like, holy shit, I forgot Edson Barbosa's on here.
Most people did.
What are you doing,
Bradley? Do you have a question for Kevin Phillips?
Yeah. So I almost honestly kind of want to just ask, like, what's the most dangerous situation you've been in? But I feel like that's material that we've kind of worn thin a little bit.
You can ask that if you want. Kevin's had way more intense situations than even I have. So you can ask this former bouncer if he cares to share any.
All right, Kev. What is the diciest spot you've been in on the rough streets of Colorado?
Yeah, this is back in DC. There are two scenarios there's two scenarios that come to mind. The first is when I watched. Do never underestimate white women from the suburbs. Like they will fuck shit up on a Tuesday if they're drunk and angry. But I watched one straight up club a guy so hard it made me hurt a little bit. So right after that, he shoves her face into the bar, but that's all our bartender sees. Our bartender doesn't see her genuinely nearly knock him unconscious. Like he blinked with a moment where if I was giving her fight advice, I'd have been like, finish him. He's on the ropes. But that was not the scenario. So from across like 30 people in a 40-foot room, I see the unfold in a matter of seconds. I see girl, cold cock guy push girl's head into the bar, both inappropriate reactions to whatever was going on. I see our bartender drop a beer, cold bore, fly like he's fucking Patrick Swayze from Roadhouse over the bar at this guy as I get there. So he just starts to go hog wild thinking this guy just took a girl's head and slammed it into a bar. So I'm like trying to stop them, get kicked, and now I'm pissed at guy who slammed girl's head in bar. But at that point, the Armenian bouncer in charge had arrived, and his fate was sealed. Poor guy got drug out aggressively and thrown like jazz from the bar. Like, plop, plop. And then I did go in, and it was like, I see the girl that smacked him in the corner, and everyone's like, you okay? You okay? I was like, hey, saw what you did. You're gone. You're out of here. And her friend's like, she got hit. It was like, you're out too. Anybody else? Maybe we should all leave. Maybe tonight's not the night. That was the most intense fighting situation because there was a lot of blood. And as a jiu-jitsu guy at the time, I'm like, could everybody just take a step? Boom, I get kicked. It's like, well, not now, fucker. Because the Armenian dude had...
Let's be nice. Let's slap bump, you know?
Yeah, they brought me in to de-escalate situations. But the Armenian dude, I used to tell Raph about this guy. It's like, I was like, what's your history? Like, what makes you qualified to be a bouncer? It's like, do not ask questions. Like, I think I'm seeing it. Got it. I do not want that guy to try and tear me out of a bar. Didn't look fun. And that's it. Otherwise, in DC, the most intense was we had a hustler put his arm around my girlfriend at the time. It was like, oh, tingle. But almost 4 seconds later, a cop walks around the corner. That was a bad situation for him. So.
Oh, wow. Oh, so did the cop see it?
Oh, yeah. And cop knew him. Cop was like, and this DC, it's a different world with the cops and the local community sometimes.
Yeah. That reminds me when we went for like the middle school trip to DC way back years and years ago in my school. I remember on the bus ride there, a bunch of people were going like, "Oh man, we're gonna we're gonna do the shit we normally do, which is be shit disturbers and like shoplift from the National Gallery and shit." And then we had to go through like a rougher neighborhood of DC.
Yeah, one homeless person yells at you, and you're like, ah!
Immediately, everyone was like, "All right, so yeah, a bed by 8, right?
Got
Yeah,
it.
100%.
Brush our teeth.
Got it.
Will do.
All right, sir. Teacher, do you need help with that?"
Yeah, it's
it's a rough time.
It can be. All right, Raph.
Yeah.
Well,
there we go.
I think let's go to the game.
Now it's time for the thrilling installment of Kevin.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to a part of the show that we like to call Over Under Kevin. My name is Rafa Esparza. I host this part of the show. The way it works is very simple. We do the entire upcoming UFC pay-per-view card, but we do it out of order. We give each participant 15 seconds to say who they think is going to win. If I so deem it, I will give that person an additional 15 seconds for a rebuttal time. It just depends on my mood. Technically, the person who gets the most answers correct does win. However, we value the person that talks the best amount of trash on this show. Gentlemen, do you both understand the rules? Kevin, do you understand the rules?
Mm-hmm.
I fucking hate that he just assumes he's Kevin whenever you're talking to him, and I have already flipped table out of anger on that, Ref.
That is, that's fully. I want to say it's because I think I'm worth more than you, and it is partially that, but I think it's also that like when I have two Kevins, I default to like the last name alphabetically.
I don't know what it says about me and my what's that word when you're really self-absorbed? Who knows? Doesn't apply.
Arrogance.
No, I'm looking for. That's the one that I remember someone yelling at me. It's like, that would be like making love with yourself. Would you like that? And this smile just crept across my face. And when I hear Over Under Kevin, I just get that same warmth of can't lose.
It's funny, just not to fucking drag this out further, but my name is Kevin. My dad's name is Kevin. I have two different Uncle Kevins from each side of my family. My father-in-law's name is Kevin. My brother-in-law's name is Kevin. The co-host of my long-running podcast is named Kevin. I think I've stopped attaching any kind of value to my own name. I truly think it is just a sound that I hear now.
I would like to just pause here for a moment and go over to Phillips. Doesn't it sound like this is his version of being a Boston cop? My dad was a cop. His cop was a cop. Our grandmother was a cop. A dinosaur before them was a cop.
56 fucking generations of cops here. When we showed up from when great granddaddy Kevin showed up from Sligo, not knowing a fucking word. It's just his fucking the socks, man. I fucking tell you.
I didn't know that we had ordered Diet Bill Burr, but apparently we had.
Skinny Bill Burr. Folks. That would be fun. And like every other Kevin and his family, they've all gotten their ass beat on the front lawn of a meth property. That's a fun fact. Well, he mentioned he had two uncles named Kevin on both sides. It was like, are there like brothers named Kevin and Kevin on one side? And I am going to just live in a world where there are.
Or his family finds out that they're like, oh, we're not going to name this child Kevin. What's wrong with you? Why would you disrespect the family like that?
Well, it's funny. My dad, Kevin, wanted to name me Dylan, but then my mom said, "Oh, like I would call him Dildo just to make fun of him." So they went with the other one. My mom's a very mean woman. So very.
Well, I think that's a good time to transition to the game. All right, we're already here, so let's get straight to the first pick. Phillips. You're going to start this one. I got 15 seconds on the clock. Who's going to win between Jordan Wright and Jamie Pickett? Go.
Yeah, everyone knows classic battle they've been looking forward to for months. They were like, how can we get Wright versus Pickett in the cage and on these types of terms? I am going to go with Pickett because of the rib tattoo. And I saw one of those guides today that's like, how painful are tattoos? It's really painful, ref. And it's right next to abs. Jay Wright's not even pictured on ESPN. So things aren't great.
Okay. Bradley, what do you got for us?
I hate everything that Kevin Phillips stands for, and I think like he just looks like he doesn't know what he's talking about, but I have to agree with him here. Not for anything to do with tattoo placement, but just simply the boldness of going with a nickname like Nightwolf. That requires a strength of character and soul that I fail to fathom. And I think that if you can rock that with seriousness, you got it.
Let me bring this up. Jordan Wright is kind of a by-proxy friend of the show. He's never really been on our show, but we vaguely know him. And he hasn't been on my show yet, so I really can't fully endorse him. But he does have a really good knockout in the UFC previously. So we'll have to see how that goes. We're going to go to a next fight. This one is between... And this one, you're going to start off, Bradley. Shane Burgos and Edson Barbosa. 15 seconds on the clock, go.
There's no part of me that will allow myself to root against Edson Barbosa. The man has put on so many dynamite performances. I can't be funny here. I am not going to root against him. I feel like he's got plenty of amazing fights left. We're going to see one of those this weekend. It's going to be a showstopper. I feel like he's going to put he's gonna never take his foot off the brake. It's fucking Edson Barbosa. I know I'm being very dumb about this, but fuck, man, like I can't really be funny about this guy.
Kev Phillips, can he be funny? Period. 15 seconds on the clock. Go.
Zero evidence to support it, but not unlike Barbosa and his age. The older you get, the less funny. Listen to Lewis Black right now. It just sounds like your grandpa kind of ranting. Burgos is definitely winning this fight, and I disagree with the premise. Barbosa has a lot of great fights left. Maybe one, maybe two. I'm going to go with Burgos.
Didn't know we were going to get a dig at Lewis Black right now, but yeah, all right. I guess he's fair game. We're going to the next bout. This one is between friend of the show, Christos Giagos, versus Sean Soriano. Phillips first.
I cannot go against Giagos because there's the very real likelihood I would see him if I returned to LA and trained with you. And then we went to that mouthy guy from Australia, I think, Jim. I forget. He does those online videos. Yeah, that was it. That was definitely a shot at Marcus Koval, who's very much not Australian. And I'm going with Giagos.
I want to point this out because I just saw Marcus this week. And every time he meets me, Kev, I kid you not, and I'm not trying to say I'm in the world's best shape right now, but every time he sees me, he just goes, "Hey, mate, have you lost weight?" And I go, "You keep saying that, and it's not true."
It's just charming.
I know it's just your shitty version of a greeting, but it's really actually insulting at this point.
Do you think he's just fucking throwing shade?
Yes. Watch his online self-defense videos, which are hilarious. He
amazing. Fucking polite way of just going like, "Hey, fucking fatty, how you doing?"
Well, it's jiu-jitsu. There's no chill. You want to get body shamed? Go to an MMA gym. You're gonna find it.
I know. Before I go on, I need to know, like, is he just genuinely like does he have a little bit of a sarcasm in his voice, or is it just so nice?
No,
that's all he has.
Very sarcastic. Yeah, his gym's hilarious.
So he knows what he's fucking doing. That's great.
Yeah.
But he does it like a foreigner. You know when second language is not
Swedish.
Really your friend.
Oh, so you're trying to convey an idea that's getting lost in translation a little bit. He's
still very Americanized, but he tries to do it and he struggles to get the joke out. And I say, "I'm not fat, you're fat," and then I basically walk off the mat. So that's exactly how we do that.
What I'm hearing right now is that you get fucking owned with every conversation that you have with this man, and you're struggling to deal with it. Which
it's actually surprisingly easy to insult him because he is so ridiculously. If you want to call Kevin a narcissist, all you have to do is put a mirror in front of Marcus, and then that will defeat him. Like, that is one of his superpowers, is to look at a mirror and be like, oh, hey, mate, who are you? Oh, I'm going to do this shitty accent that I do as a real thing. All right, let's talk to each other. And then they just go off.
Accent could be
that's
fake.
my way of putting it.
Could be fake.
Very well. Let's say this. Bradley, who do you have? Christos, friend of the show, who's not technically your friend, or Sean Soriano? Go.
Well, I feel like in a similar way, I've met some people that have trained with Sean before. I'd have to check that, but I feel like he's trained with some of the people that I'm training with right now, way back when. And I do remember hearing he's a very solid guy, because some people have been talking about the card. So for very similarly stretched reasons, I feel like I can go with him.
Okay. Sean is also coming in as a last-minute replacement, because Christos' original opponent did not make it through this week. So fortunately, Christos still gets to remain on the card. So we're happy to see that one.
We go to our next fight. Died. Is he okay? Did the guy pulled out? It's like, he didn't make it through the week. It's like,
I didn't look that far. This is what the Wikipedia page says. It says Joel Alvarez was scheduled to face Christos Giagos in a lightweight bout. However, Alvarez was removed from the bout in early May due to an alleged visa issue. And by the way, due to alleged visa issues that restricted his travel, sounds like somebody from Christos's camp actually like typed that one into Wikipedia. And it says Christos is expected to face returning vet Sean Soriano. So whoever updated that yesterday, it was in limbo. So that's why I'm glad we're doing this episode today. Hey. Not the point. The point is this: featherweight bout between Lando Calrissian Venata and Mike Grundy. Bradley, who do you have? 15 seconds, go.
I got to go with Mike Grundy, specifically because Lando did not capitalize on the potential of the nickname that he could have just owned, which is phenomenal. And like, I get that Groovy's a cool name, and I know I'm going for very surface level things right now, but my research on this card was very slapshot in preparation for this this podcast. So I'm just going to go with Mike Grundy.
I don't want real research. Kevin Phillips, who do you have?
For the most immature reasons, I'm going with Grundy. I hope there's an accidental slip. Somebody's like, well, when Grundle gets you down, and I'm going to laugh myself to sleep. I'm going to agree. I think it's Grundy in this one. And, you know, this is tough because both fighters have rib tattoos, Raph. Both of them. Mm-hmm.
Real quick, do either of you have tattoos?
I do not.
Okay, so I feel like there's a lot of projection going on about like tattoo placement.
Toughness. Scary tattoos are scientifically proven to make you maybe better at fighting. It's fact.
I mean, I don't have enough evidence to prove otherwise.
I'm not going to ask you how many family members had tattoos, and I'm just going to assume a lot of them did. And that's the evidence.
My brother has a tiger with a sword through it on his leg.
And in most disqualifying statements on this show,
the problem is though he's a Marine that shoots a gun out of an Osprey, so I feel like it's a tough needle to thread, because otherwise, that would be disqualifying.
Well,
but does he train jiu-jitsu?
Got the whole picture.
I've tried so fucking hard, and he just doesn't want to, and it sucks.
Womp,
sucks so hard. Sean, please train. I want you to train. I want this for you. It's fun.
We're going to go to our next fight. It's a bantamweight bout. Kevin Phillips, you go first in telling us who will win between Matt Schnell and Rodrigo Bitcoin. Go.
I actually am hitting an upset pick here. He's plus 135. He is not favored, but I love Bontarin, or as you just referred to him lovingly as Bitcoin. Is that his nickname? If it's not, it should be. It's badass.
It should be 100%. Qualify that, and then his price goes up. Bradley, who do you got?
I'm going to go with Matthew Christopher Schnell, because any man with confidence to rock three names, I dig it. I wish I could be Kevin Patrick Bradley, but I hate the sound of it. But, there's a pedigree there, and I respect that. Also, his nickname is Danger, which just fuck yeah, go for it.
Fair enough. I'm putting 30 seconds on the clock for this next bout because it is your co-main event magically. And, anytime a Tony Ferguson emerges from the wild into the scenery that we call the octagon, it's a time to celebrate, I think. We'll see. Will he win? Who knows? Kevin Bradley, 30 seconds, go. Who wins between Ferguson and Beneil Dariush? Go.
I don't want Tony to. I don't want him to lose because when he loses, it's so bad. It means like he's just let himself get punched so fucking much. And like I love seeing how tough he is, but I don't need to see that as much anymore. I feel like he could take a break. I feel like this is the way he gets stopped. So I'm in a roundabout way. I am rooting for Dariush to take this one.
Fair enough. Phillips.
But he's picking Ferguson?
No.
Brad, you want to clarify that one?
I was picking Dariush, but I was moreover that I want Tony to lose, or I want fuck, I don't know. I just kind of, whenever I see Tony lately, I immediately flash to how much damage I've seen the guy take, and just how like he maybe wants to just play baseball.
Two cracks at it, no closer. I'm also going with Dariush, Raf, if for the record, for verbal.
To be fair, he took all of your time. I don't think I've ever seen somebody, when I put 30 seconds on the clock for you, Kevin, have someone else take your entire time, and yet you did magically manage to get in your answer within the 30 seconds.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ferguson looks like an retired expendable. Like, I do not feel good.
Fuck, that's really fucking accurate. God damn it. He looks like a guy who's being called back for one last job.
He got stop lost. They're making him fight again. It's not good.
Oh, my God.
I mean, just think about it in this sense. The Expendables are supposed to be the retired superheroes, so the magic of Kevin's joke is he looks like a retired version of that. So kudos to you, Kevin. Image on image.
How does Cowboy look like he's doing better than Tony just in life? When like they've been dealt the same amount of damage.
We will
roughly.
not be speaking about Cowboy Ferguson connections on this show when we've already had to witness a very, very sad Cowboy Cerrone sort of a thing happening this past week. And making things even worse is the fact that even Dana White can't quit him and is telling us, yeah, okay, he should stop fighting, but I'm going to give him one more chance. And I go, you could stop this. And you know what? He can't, because he has the most fights in UFC history, and it's not looking great. And all of us are okay with Cowboy Cerrone not having any more fights. Here's the thing that's problematic about what I heard him say after he lost, which was this. It was him saying, nah, man, I can't go out like that. Which the real answer is, maybe you can again. And that is when it gets really depressing. So assuming
Call Tim
that
Kennedy.
you have the control. Yeah.
Call Tim Kennedy, ask him how he exited it, and do that.
I mean, the problem is that the standard for getting really bad is BJ Penn. And so far, no one's come even close to that. And that's like the fact that he was allowed to go for as long as he was and take the kind of damage he took long after he should have been, taken out of the UFC. I feel like everyone's trying, the people that want to are testing that limit. And that's just fucking danger zone.
So, speaking of danger zone, we go to the next fight, which is Kevin Phillips. You're going to tell me who's winning. Ronaldo Souza, a.k.a. Jacare, versus Andre 3000 Munoz. Go.
7:41 p.m. Mountain Time. That is when I am voluntarily giving up my jiu-jitsu card and choosing Moonies. This hurts. This hurts. Can't do it anymore. Love you, Jacare. No one's having that, like, when do we let Jacare loose? Because they'll just cue the footage of him tearing his arm off and beating someone with it. But this might be it.
Bradley, what do you got for us?
I mean, enough, like everyone saw his Kevin Holland fight, and that, that first round stoppage Jacare, we all love you. You're a fucking legend, man, and you got one of the best, like surprisingly kindest looking smiles in the game. We love you, but no.
I was kind of hoping they'd give him, like, I get they're really reaching already, but it just makes me nervous. They're trying to get him a win. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know how much faith I have in people knowing when to hang it up in most things. So it's you can only hope for the most part.
His
clearly
opponent's a BJJ guy, which is like, damn it! Couldn't you just throw a Muay Thai and hope for the best at him, maybe? But no.
We're gonna move forward to a featherweight bout. Oh look, it's a Kevin. What are the odds? Kevin Aguilar taking on Tucker Lutz. That's a weird name. All right, they should retry that name again. Bradley, who do you got? 15 seconds.
Try that name again. Kevin, listen, you're part of the International Brotherhood. Kevin Phillips and I are joining forces on this one, I hope, and we want you to win for the name brand, just continue that tradition of Kevin's doing great at stuff. Kevin Spacey, amazing actor. Kevin Garnett, amazingly great at finance. Like phenomenal. You got to continue that tradition of success. So go after it.
Oh,
Phillips.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend. And anyone that's like, Kevin Spacey, it's time to bring him up. And justice for Kevin.
Yeah. We are all winners.
Leads me down a Lutz path. Plus, been rewatching 30 Rock and that I'm with Stupid shirt in the live show. Lutz!
So good.
Tucker Lutz, though, like, talk about overcoming a pretty bland name. It was like, well, I was going to sing country music. That didn't work out, so now I'm fighting. Look out.
Do we have the sound clip available of Bradley talking about how happy he is for Kevin Spacey? Is that the clip that we're doing for the show this week?
That'll be what I pull.
I decided on this appearance I was going to do one thing that completely torpedoed future job prospects, and so I'm like, what can I do? Oh, there it is.
Coincidentally, here's what I named our teams, because I keep track of the picks, just to reinforce the great job Raph does, because he if you listen to the last episode, I really took a journey towards appreciating Raph's mathematics. But I named mine Nightmare on Kevin Street, and I just named you Titanic. So
I don't really, I never finished the movie Titanic, but I assume the ship just like keeps on going. So thanks.
No, it's definitely the PG version of that.
I think the ship's going to be
probably
fun.
let you watch.
if you were watching the VHS and you didn't get to the second videotape, you just watched the first one. It's a great movie. It's a lot of fun.
I got the gist. I'm like, what? This is fine. It's enough for me.
But for the kids out there, it was a 2-boxer. You had to really want to watch that one.
We couldn't afford the second VHS.
Just imagine if that's all you take away from that movie is he gets to be king of the world, and you go, I think this is good enough.
Leo.
Wow, like ending on a high note, bold, love it. Everyone seems like they're really happy. I hope that lady gets out of that marriage she doesn't want to be in. But other than that,
I have it on good authority. That's Tarantino saw just the first tape and was like, I got to start rewriting history, and that's what took him on to now Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Spoiler.
I need as many excuses to say the N-word into a camera as possible. How do I do that?
We just take different routes.
Become a filmmaker. I will either become a Republican or a filmmaker.
Well, children, let's take a moment to go over what happens in the show. Bradley, there's usually a little bit of a wager. Now, when I say a wager, it's not a financial, because clearly we all do jiu-jitsu podcasts. However, Kevin, in the past, what have been some examples of wagers that you have either had to do or that people have had to do for you after losing?
Oh yeah, we finally figured out our niche here. Loser basically has to make a video of some kind in social media is what we've been doing lately. UFC fighter Joe Selecki still owes us a video where he explains which ABC show he would cameo on to highlight his victory on ABC. I owe still to Kai Kamaka. I took a first shot at it We both tied on our UFC picks, so we owe mutual videos endorsing White Claw as the greatest drink ever created. And I still watch the Dan Martinez video where he has to chug natural. He uses natural ices. It was Natty Lights, but not going to tell a Florida boy not to Florida. He just chugged 6 of them as an endorsement for Verbal Tap. So there's your.
And it's funny because that wasn't even the bet.
It was the bet was just a video. He just happened to. He was making fun of me for drinking Natural Light on the podcast after the Super Bowl. It really hurt.
That is hurtful. Florida people are very hurtful. Hi, Kevin Gallagher.
You can blame him for that. That's his boy on that one. So
I hate that I can't even joke about that. Kev G is very nice.
He's a nice person. He also has tattoos, so he'll probably be very, very insensitized toward what we were saying on the show. So without saying what you might have if you do have a bet in mind, do you have a bet in mind, Kevin Bradley?
So wait, is it are we betting anything with regards to the card? Like anyone pulling like
No. It's just out of who has the most correct picks.
Oh, okay.
Here's some good news for you. You have 4 fights to figure it out. I'm going to press on.
And when he said, I understand the rules, he was like,
I want to, yeah, I think I know what I got. I think I have an idea. If I win,
No, don't say what it is. Remember how I said,
okay.
don't say what it is.
Tease in the business.
Phenomenal.
If I said, okay, just making sure, because I say things for a purpose and reason, and that is one of them. Kevin Phillips, you're going to tell me who's winning this women's flyweight bout between Andrea Lee and Antonio Shevchenko. Go.
Yeah, I actually went to pick Lee, and someone from the Shevchenko family politely knocked on the door, and I answered it, and we didn't speak a word. But I understood the message. Shevchenko is my pick.
Fair enough. Bradley, what do you got for us on this?
Okay, this is fully weird territory, but I don't care. Andrea Lee kind of looks like a substitute teacher I had in middle school for English. That she was really nice to me. So for that reason alone, and the fact that my location is in Buffalo, and I don't even think the Russians would bother coming here, I'm going to go with Lee.
I have to say, I think that's the weirdest reason we have ever had somebody officially take a person as their fight pick.
It was surprising when I really looked at her. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Oh, God. That's usually an ominous sign when you say, you know what you remind me of? My teacher from elementary school. That means you're going to get wrapped. It was
middle school, Raph. Please, come on. Be a journalist for 5 minutes.
That Buffalo education gets real dicey real quick. Hey, why don't we go to our next fight? Bradley, you tell us who's winning this one. It's a women's flyweight bout between Caitlin Shook again and Viviane Araujo. Go.
Viviane Araujo. I like the way you said her name, and I think I remember seeing her on some fight nights last year, and I remember her striking pretty good. So, yeah, let's go with Viviane.
Okay. Phillips.
Well, I picked her last time, and she won. So I will be picking Shook again. For and still. That would be cool, by the way, if she changed it to Chuka and still, if she wins the title just for a few days. And I believe it's Araujo, but I'm not going to get on anyone's high horse. Chook again.
Nope. Chook again, indeed. Women's flyweight bout. There's a lot of them on this one, apparently. This one is between...
You're never going to pronounce these. There's zero chance.
I
know what's left, and you are going to royally fuck this up.
Hold on. Have some faith. Thank you. This one is between... Damn, Gina Mazzani and Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, Cochinilla. Kevin Phillips.
That was so much better than I thought it was going to be. Yeah, I'm going with Mazzani. and there's a lot of reasons. I used it as a pun for almost 5 minutes when I made this pick. I was like, I'm going Mazzani. You can't stop me. It's time for Mazzania. I couldn't be stopped, so that's where I'm picking.
Bradley, go.
I'm trying to be serious a little bit. I seriously did enjoy Mazzani's fight against Ostovich in like last year, about November. She looked really solid, so going with her.
Because of
Do
her
you go
performance
Mazzani on this one as well?
last year about November, just for people.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's crazy how vividly I remember Ostovich's last fight in the UFC. I have no idea why.
Sounds like a Green Day song, though. Raph?
Well,
no, I'm ready. I'm charged.
oh, I can tell. Unfortunately, I have to let the kid go first.
Oh,
So here's what I'm doing. I put 30 seconds on because this is your main event. And it is your main event between Charlie Olives and Michael Chandelier. Okay, that sounds good. Those two. Who goes? 30 seconds. Bradley, you first.
I really appreciate any of the guys that are so manically about believing in themselves that it borders on like being a psychopath. And I feel like Michael's like knocking on that door, and I kind of want to see how crazy he can get with like continued victory. I want to keep feeding him wins until he starts demanding to be put on a baseball team or something. Like he demands to be on the Nets or something to play basketball. Like he just wants to keep winning shit. Kind of like Cejudo, but without all the cringe. So like Michael
it is. Phillips, who do you have?
Michael Chandler's 5'8", so I'm here for him trying to get on the Nets if he wins this. I want to put my vote sternly behind that. But I'm going with Charlie Olives. Was that the nickname we settled?
Yeah.
I'm going with Chuck Olive. The Chuck Oliveira. And it's going to be a nice little gambling prize for me as well, because I think I'm going to put actual FanDuel money on that at -130. Michael Chandler, too much confidence, not enough. This is what I'm good at. I'm a little nervous. He's tiny compared to Oliveira.
Well, don't worry, because earlier this week when D was previewing it, he was saying, Chandler's gonna get in there, and that he puts a lot of that pressure, and that's what kills jiu-jitsu guys is that pressure. We've seen it happen, so that's why he's gonna win, which is really just an excuse for wrestlers to do that thing that wrestlers do when they go, oh, is this an opportunity to say how much more better we are than everybody else? Let me shoehorn this in here. It doesn't make any sense, but I'm just going to say it.
Yep. And then they get out their wrestler bingo card where it's like, mention Usman. Okay. Work that organically into the sentence.
Yep.
Got it. 1 second. Khabib. And then underneath it says, don't get an erection. Don't get an erection. That's the bingo card.
I'll tell you this much, though. The good news is for DC, erections do not happen as easily
Side
as
note.
him throwing out his back. Just
Side note, ask Derek Lewis how he kills jiu-jitsu. Got it. All right. That's the game plan.
Yup. All right. Well, listen, gents, we've made all the way through the fight card. It's now time to do tiebreakers because there are some similar picks here. So the way we do that is I'm going to ask Kevin to give us 2 performances of the night and 1 fight of the night. Kevin, who are your 2 people who you will single out for performances of the night?
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's start with those. So Charlie Olives.
I love how this time you assumed he was talking about you, Kevin.
Yeah. Well, I was worried you wouldn't be organized enough to understand the question, so I was going to lead it up.
I was going to assume alpha on you for a second. You need to fucking get in there.
Shevchenko is my other performance of the night. Again, not because a guy I think named Vlad here is staring at me intently with lovely
handed
green
you
eyes.
a bullet.
Just says Kevin, and I don't know which of us he means. It's really confusing.
Oh shit! He's got
Fight
2
of the
bullets.
night.
Kevin.
They're gonna have to do something to get old man Tony. Or on iced tea was what I wrote down here, and I'm really excited. But on iced tea still isn't. It just sounds like iced tea. You have to like really spell it out. So, fight of the night, I'm going the Fergs fight.
Okay. Bradley, what do you got for us?
All right, I'm going with Mr. Chandelier himself, Michael Chandler, for performance of the night. And you know what? I think fight of the night, I'm going to go with our boy Kevin Aguilar defeating Tucker Lutz. I feel like that's going to be the dark horse fight of the night on this card.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
you
what's
gotta-
the
you gotta
second
stand by
performance
the
of the night then?
Oh, second performance of the night?
Told
You
you.
gotta have two. Mhm.
Oh yeah, right. I can't. I'm really tempted to say Ferguson, but I do want to break away a little bit. You know what? Maybe Jacare or maybe Souza's gonna
There
put
we
on
go.
a performance that surprises us. I'm going with Souza.
Double stamp his jiu-jitsu card, everybody.
Exactly.
Kevin Bradley gets 2 stamps. Kevin, I
And-
gave up mine. You get it. You get a second.
It's funny. My coach promised me. He just texted me saying I'm getting a stripe tomorrow. So
You know what they can say about those texts about promotions? You can take that to the bank, people.
Well, now I know what I want to bet. I say he
What's that,
loses,
Kevin?
he gives up the stripe. It's easy. No, I'm just kidding.
Ooh, that's actually pretty good. I like that
And
one. But we're
if-
not
if
going to do
I
that one.
If I win, I'm the only Kevin.
That's not how
I
that works.
changed
You
the
can't
name.
erase a name.
And I tell
You just-
all of
you
your
gotta
uncles.
You got to go by Phil for a month. How about that?
That would get very dicey for Kevin when he goes back to work on Monday.
Phil Phillips.
Yeah, you just
So-
got to ignore a lot of emails, man. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, Bradley, we always defer to the guest here. So do you have a legitimate bet that you would like to propose to Kevin Phillips?
I thought I had one, and I it's still gestating a little bit, so I would love to see what sort of devious plot.
Unfortunately, we are at about the end of the show, so there's not time for it to nourish and form into a potted plant. Thus, I will then kick it back over to Kevin. Kevin, do you have somewhere you'd like to go on this bet?
I think he's already touched on it.
Okay.
Loser does a 30 to 45 second, just commercial for the other's project, giving up the name Kevin. I think we just announce it and as a just a satirical video. There you go. No actual paperwork needs to be filed.
the loser dubs the winner the better Kevin in the combat sports podcasting ring or something like that.
Let's call it the Kevin Cup. Winner gets the Kevin Cup. Loser
It's
can
an
define
actual
what that is.
It's an actual athletic cup.
Yeah. There you go, Raph.
Yeah, that works for me.
It's like the Geller Cup, if we're using a Friends reference.
Yes. That's what our audience is begging us to do, is to give them more entertainment references.
More Friends
Gents,
content.
I think we are at a good place here. Bradley, this is kind of how we do things on our show. We normally end by inviting the guest, aka you, to come back next week and talk the fights, should you be interested in doing that.
Oh, well, thank you, fellas. I would love to join you again and potentially lord my victory over Mr. Phillips, or, praise him for his victory as I, look for a new name, one not tarnished.
Yeah, I'll bring some suggestions.
Yeah.
You look like a Cameron, kind of, to me.
Oh, God, I hate that. Oh, the thought of that repulses me.
Then even better.
just
So
Tips out of nowhere.
you were in at least 3 boy bands. They all rejected you. Bradley, that's not important. What I'm going to ask you right now is to take a moment to go ahead and plug your shit. Tell the people where they can find your stuff.
All right. Well, once again, Raph, thank you. Anyone who's still on the fence about it, please continue to follow his work. I know he's kind of hit or miss, but he's got some really good stuff in there. If you want more of me and my co-host, Mr. Kevin Gallagher, check us out on the Jiu-Jitsu Times. We've got a really solid backlog. We're about to hit 100 episodes, and we've had some really exciting guests, one of them being Mr. Esparza himself. If you want some of my written work, you can catch some of my articles at the Jiu-Jitsu Times website, but I've also started writing for the Aces Jiu-Jitsu blog, doing weekly news roundups, commentary pieces, opinion stuff, kind of more experimental things. A lot of really solid writers over there, too. We got a mutual friend, John Carlos, writing for us over there as well, as well as my co-host, Mr. Kevin Gallagher. So yeah, a lot of great stuff to check out over there.
Why do they call it Aces? Because that sounds like a poker website.
I'm not sure. Well, that's like Aces Jiu-Jitsu was the gym, and the owner Mikhail wanted to expand into blogs, and it turned into a big like slice of life sort of thing. So we're just aces.
Whatever. They employ writers. I'm not going to give them shit.
We're all degenerate gamblers too.
I wish. God, it would make more of you guys interesting. Here's what I'm going to say. Bradley, we enjoy the fact that you came on. We're happy that you're going to come on next week. You are mostly delightful, but also, I guess we're going to see how this plays out. Kevin, do you have any departing words to Kevin Bradley before we sign off?
I will say you're welcome for not making the loser do a technique video for if you see a meth confrontation in real life. I did take the high road, so
I mean, no, but hey,
extension.
I have tips now for that.
You are experienced. That's true.
Yeah, no. I could do that. I could be like, hey guys, I know it's gonna be weird, but turtle up faster. That's gonna save a lot of bruising in the months to come.
At KBrads_BJJ for all of your meth avoidance knowledge. And I'm all set, Raph.
Rule number 1, stay out of Lackawanna, New York.
The number you have dialed has been changed. The new number is... Please note, the new number is...